everybody, welcome to the Evening Reader. My name is Priscilla. How is everyone doing today? Hope you're getting ready for the weekend. I hope that you have some fun plans. We're just gonna kind of take it easy since we went camping, went on a little short camping and backpacking, hiking trip for just a couple of days over the long weekend, this past weekend, Sunday to Tuesday. So this weekend we're just gonna probably hang out. It's gonna be kind of quiet, not much going on, but today's kind of a fun day, a big day, not a big day, but a day. It's a day. It's Friday, but today's actually my 3-month-iversary on booktube. Yeah. So wow, I can't believe it's been 3 months. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope I'm looking right at the camera now. Thank you. I'm probably looking somewhere away and around like I always do. Thank you all so much. Just, if you're new here today, welcome. And thank you. But if you've been coming to visit me since the beginning, especially, thank you so much for all the time or any of the time that you have chosen to spend with me. I know that, we're all like busy people. Life has so much happening and there's lots of content out there. There are lots of ways you could choose to spend your time. And if you even spend 5 minutes with me or to say hi or to leave a comment or anything, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate it. It really means everything. And I still feel like I'm kind of getting my footing. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the channel. I feel I still have plans. I feel like all the plans I did have kind of just went right away. But it's been really fun anyway, doing events and getting to know people. And I'm just hoping to continue that and, hoping to get my bearings and things. Like, for example, last week I made an accidental authors video. Daniel over at Guilty Feet has been doing this accidental authors series, and some other booktubers have been doing it. And I made a video about Carol Shields, and I was so excited about it. And I was like ready to post it. I was going to post it this Wednesday, and it was terrible. I thought that it had turned out so good when I was finished with it. I was like, yeah, that went well. That went really well. And then I watched it, and it was no, it did not go well. It did not go well. It's deleted. It's deleted. It won't ever get leaked. There'll never be any scandal. So, yeah. So I'm still figuring things out, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee because I forgot about it. And so I want to drink it before it gets super cold. Yeah, because caffeine, I really need it. Okay. So thank you. And I hope that you will continue to hang around. And that I, can come up with some interesting things to say. All right. In that note, let's talk about May. Let's talk about the fact that May was just for me. I don't know what it was like for you. I hope that you'll tell me what your reading month was like. If it went well, if it didn't go well, if you did the events, if you found a new favorite book, or, if you DNF'd 20 books, I don't know. I just did not have a very good reading month in May. Well, I mean, that's not entirely true. It just feels like I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. And yeah, it felt like I just didn't read that much. And I didn't read that much, actually. I only read 5 books in May. I think that's right. Oh God, I have to go to my Goodreads now. It's a good thing to have the computer right here, right? To go to my Goodreads. It's only June 2nd. I can't. May was so long. It was the longest month. May was longer than the whole first 4 months of the year. I swear. Okay. Yeah, I read 4 books. I read four. I read 4 books. That does not include all the books that I stopped and started for Mental Health May. And then a few others that I stopped and started just out of sheer frustration and trying to find something, anything that I wanted to read. It was just one of those months. So and between work being really busy because this is a busy time of year, and then just between and life and just general things, it just didn't happen. So I guess that's how it goes sometimes. The books I did read, I read really quickly. So if I could have, if I could have kept up that pace, I probably could have read many books, several books, 7, 8 books maybe. But it just didn't happen. So I think I already talked about, I read Anita Berkner's A Start in Life, and I read Curtis Sittenfeld's Sisterland. I talked about those in a video earlier in the month. So those were both great. And then I mentioned on my reread video that I had read this book, Unfinished Business, Notes of a Chronic Rereader. And this was really, really terrific. I really enjoyed this. It's a short little book. I think it's only about 160 pages. And Vivan Gornick is an essayist. I mean, honestly, I'm not entirely familiar with her work, but she's put out a few books in the last couple of years that have intrigued me, and this was one of them because, it has chronic and reread in the title, and, well, I gotta find out about that. But she goes back and she talks about rereading books over her lifetime that, meant something to her when she was younger, or how they changed as she grew, older. She talks about books like D.H. Lawrence's Sons and Lovers. She talks about Colette. She talks about, oh gosh, what else does she talk about? Elizabeth Bowen. Yes, I'm flipping through it. You think I would remember things, right? But you just don't always. She talks about Natalia Ginsburg. So just really wonderful, but it's just a really nice meditation. You don't need to have read the books. Honestly, I had not read many of the books in here that she talks about, but it doesn't matter because it's a meditation on reading, and it's a lot to me like why I used to love to read blogs. Or I love to read books or books about reading in general, because I like to read about other people's reading experiences and about, how they sort of commune with their books and what those books mean to them and how they fit in a time and place in their lifetimes. I sort of just think that's very fascinating. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend this. Like I said, it's only about 160 pages, and I read it not in a day, but like mostly a day. Like, yeah, it wasn't more than 2 days to read this. It was pretty quick. So that was good. And then the second book, well, it's the fourth book. The fourth book I read was Southernmost by Silas House. And I actually read that just this past weekend. That was another one. It was a pretty quick read. I read it on the train coming and going from our camping trip. And that was a book that I had on my Kindle, and I had picked it out to read for June for Pride, and I thought that I would kind of get a head start because I've got a lot of things that I want to read in June. And one of them is a big chunkster, which is Lonesome Dove, which I am reading for June on the range, and I am buddy reading with Randy Ray at Literate Texan. And so I thought, well, I don't have anything right now. I'm just going to take one of these books that I think I want to read for Pride, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. And so I started it, and so this is an interesting book. I am going to read the blurb. Let's see. It says, in the aftermath of a flood that washes away much of a small Tennessee town, evangelical preacher Asher Sharp offers shelter to two gay men. In doing so, he starts to see his life anew and risks losing everything: his wife, locked into her religious prejudices; his congregation, which shuns Asher after he delivers a passionate sermon in defense of tolerance; and his young son, Justin, caught in the middle of what turns into a bitter custody battle. With no way out but ahead, Asher takes Justin and flees to Key West, where he hopes to find his brother Luke, whom he turned against years ago after Luke came out. And it is there, at the southernmost point of the country, that Asher and Justin discover a new way of thinking about the world and a new way of understanding love. I mean, that sounds pretty good, right? And Silas House is a gay author, just to add that. So, for pride. So we have a gay author writing about this situation, and Silas House is Southerner. And, it was okay. It was okay. The blurb makes it sound like a different book than it turned out to be. About the first third of the book is very, very good. And that Asher, the preacher, there is a flood. He sees, it's a horrible flood in the Cumberland Gap on the Cumberland River. He sees houses being swept away, and he knows that his congregation is being deeply affected. Two of his neighbors are a gay couple, and one of the men is a songwriter, and they have moved out to the country from Nashville just to be, living in the country. And actually, the songwriter is from the area, and he wanted to move back. And Asher sees them during the flood. His son gets lost, and they find Justin, and they bring Justin back to Asher. And then they start to show up at his church, and it's sort of, he tries to defend them, he defends their being in the church, and the congregation wants them to leave. It's a Pentecostal church, and I don't know if you know anything about Pentecostal. It's very evangelical, very conservative, very fundamentalist type of Christian sect, I guess. And I went to school with some Pentecostal girls when I was young. This was out in West Texas. And I mean, we're talking like the girls can't cut their hair, and they have to wear skirts, and it's very strict. And so, but this couple makes Asher think about his brother, Luke. But it also turns out that he's been getting postcards. So they've been estranged for about 10 years, and Asher's been getting postcards from Luke, with little clues on them. And it has an address on it that says Key West, Florida. But then it's just, they're cryptic, and so we don't know what's going on. So Asher starts to have a change of heart because he does not like the fact that his congregation is turning these men away and how they're acting. And he also has the guilt about his brother, and he does start to have a change of heart, and he starts to feel that he can't lead people who have hate in their heart. He does not feel good about it. He just feels like he can't do it anymore. And so, he does at one point stand up in front of the congregation and sort of admonish them for not accepting these two men into the congregation. But then, he still tells the men, they ask him if he will marry them, because gay marriage has just become legal in Tennessee at this time in the book. And he says, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. And so he's still walking the line. He's still not sure. He's still grappling. And so he gets ousted from the church. They vote him out. And at the meeting where he gets voted out, he makes an impassioned speech speech about, you know, being a loving, not having hate in your heart, and all of these things, and it goes viral. The video goes viral, and then he also decides he leaves the church, and they kick him out, but he says, I'm going to leave anyway. And then he also leaves his marriage, and his wife fights him for custody, and she uses the video against him. And so he loses custody of his son, and he becomes desperate, and he kidnaps his son and takes him down to Key West. And so this is all very interesting. The setup is wonderful, and there are many other threads in the setup. For example, the little boy is 9 years old, and he is being bullied at school, and he's very sensitive, and he's a very loving little boy. But his mother doesn't think that he's tough enough, and his mother just thinks he's too sensitive, and she's taking him to a psychiatrist who wants to put him on medication for anxiety, or because he's so sensitive. And so, you know, there are these threads that are being sort of set up with different parts of the book. They go down to Key West, and then when they get to Key West, I don't know, something happens with the book, and then like the next, so let's say that's the first 25% of the book or so. And then the next 50% of the book is basically about Asher and Justin in Key West. And Asher's got a job working at like a bed and breakfast cleaning up, and he meets the hotel proprietress, and they get a room. They have a little apartment they could stay in there on the property, and there's a lady who lives on the other side of this little duplex, and of course she's beautiful, and Asher starts to, he meets her, and they've got kind of tragic background stories, but you don't really know what their tragic background stories are. And like in over 3 months time, they become like a family, but it's very odd. Like it's sort of, I don't know, this is a pet peeve of mine in a book where, the narration will say, and then they started doing this, and then they got into a routine, and they were sometimes doing this, and they were sometimes doing that, and then sometimes it was this. And a whole week had passed. It's like, oh, whoa. You don't get into a routine in a week. In a week. You get into a routine like that where sometimes you do this and sometimes you do that is because sometimes you do usually means like a repeat process. Like sometimes you've done that, means more, you've done it more than once. I mean, is that just me? I don't know. So it's sort of like that. Like it feels the author, the time is weird, and it doesn't seem like there's, weird development. And then there's like, so where's the brother? He asks a couple of people, and then it just kind of goes away. And then in the middle is somewhere in there, it's like there's a throwaway line of Asher had asked other people if they knew Luke Sharp, and he never got an answer. And then he went online, but he couldn't find anything. That's it. And then it goes and it goes and it goes, and then the end comes. And of course, I can't give you the spoiler, but I guess I can say this. I really expected that he was going to get to Key West, and he was going to find his brother, and then there was going to be some real exploration and discussion about their relationship, about their relationship with their mother, because that was something that was, hanging over both of them. That they would talk about, that Asher would still be grappling probably with some of these feelings, but it's sort of like he goes, oh no, it's, it's almost like, oh yeah, well, it would be uncomfortable, but yeah, he's probably okay. Like, what? What? So I expected it to go in more interesting direction and to explore some things more deeply than it did. And I guess that's on me as a reader. The writing was great. I mean, the writing was really pretty good. I think if I had not somehow set these expectations up in my head, I would have enjoyed it more than I did. It's 3-star. I'm not a star giver really, but it's a solid, pretty good. If you saw it laying there and you needed something to read, you could pick it up and probably it would be pretty good. Yeah. So that was I guess that was my first Pride read. But I felt like as a Pride read, it didn't really, it had these themes, but then I felt like it just sort of dropped them. It just kind of dropped them. And then the way it just picks it up back up at the end is sort of like, oh, well, okay. I guess that's that then. All right. So anyway, so that was my May. On to June, I guess. So yeah, I'm doing June on the Range. And I just obviously doing some reading for Pride. So I already said that I was reading Lonesome Dove. The other book that I hope to maybe read, if I can get to it, for June on the Range is Doc by Mary Doria Russell, which is one of her books. It's the first book. I'm not sure if it's just 2 books or if it's 3 books about Doc Holliday. So I've heard really wonderful things about that. I think she's most popular for her book, The Sparrow. But I've heard that these Westerns that she's written are really good. So I'm pointing at my computer. I don't know why I'm pointing over here. Okay. Anyway, so I may try to get to that if I can. And then Pride, yeah. So I have a couple of other books picked out. I have Christodora by Tim Murphy on my TBR to possibly read for Pride. I've got like a little pile of possibilities. Affinity by Sarah Waters, because I've only got 2 books of Sarah Waters left that I haven't read, Affinity and Tipping the Velvet. I've read everything else. I really like her writing, and so these are her 2 earliest books, I believe. So I've got Affinity, and then I have The Sleeping Car Porter, which I have ordered. And so I'm hoping maybe to get to those 3 at least. And then I also have, where did it go? I have it right here. I may also do a nonfiction book. It's the old Janet Malcolm again, you guys. Here I am, back with another Janet Malcolm book. I told you I bought a big stack of her books. This is 2 Lives, Gertrude and Alice. And so it's about Gertrude Stein and Alice B. Toklas and their relationship and about their influence on each other. And then also about how they managed to stay in Paris during the Nazi occupation as a Jewish lesbian couple. So it sounds very fascinating. It sounds like a really very interesting exploration of their relationship and the circumstances in which they were living and the time in which they were living. And Janet Malcolm just never disappoints to me as an investigative journalist, or in the way that she really digs deep and paints a picture. So I may try to do this one too, because I think it sounds kind of intriguing. So yeah. All right. So that's for Pride. And then what else? A bunch of books. I bought a bunch of books. I think I told you that I bought a bunch of books and I was waiting for them all to come in before I did a book haul. But half of the order got returned to the US because of some glitch with the postal system, which managed to have my address so that they could send me a customs bill, but then conveniently lost the address when it came time to deliver the package, and they sent it back to the States. So no, it's not, I got it for Better World Books. It's not their fault. It's not their problem. And they have already refunded my money. They are wonderful. So no problem there, except that I don't have the books that I wanted. But I did get the other books and Unfinished Lives. What? No, Unfinished Business. I was looking at 2 Lives and thinking Unfinished Business was one of those books. And then I also ordered The Age of Innocence, which I want to reread, by Edith Wharton. So that's one. I ordered this because my best friend has said that it's a really amazing book, and I have also heard from other people that it's really amazing. And it's The Devil in the White City, which I think probably everybody but me has read, by Erik Larson. So I'm hoping to get to that sometime. I don't know. Maybe that'll be like an October read. I'm not sure, but I just had to have it. Better World Books had one of those big sales on, so I also got the first Maisie Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear because Sarah at Hardcover Hearts was talking about Maisie Dobbs in one of her videos, probably, I don't know, weeks and weeks and weeks ago. But I've always meant to read Maisie Dobbs, and so I thought I would go ahead and, try the first one. And, I think this was like $3.99 or something. So what the heck? I thought I'd give it a shot. Don't go to sleep, computer. Don't go to sleep. And then, okay, so those are the books I got from Better World Books. And then I bought some books here. And interestingly enough, I was watching Steve Donahue. He was talking about one of the latest book in this series, and I can't not remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's supposed to be coming out sometime this summer. But I went to put that on my TBR, and when I went to put that on my TBR, I saw that I already had a book by the same author on my TBR, and saw that it was definitely a series, and that was a book that I heard about from Nikita Segal, and that is The Widows of Malabar Hill by Sujata Massey. I think that's how you say it, Sujata. And this just looks really, really good. This is a Preveen Mistry is the main character's name, and it's set in the 1920s in India. And it says, Preveen Mistry, the daughter of a respected Zoroastrian family, has just joined her father's law firm. Armed with a legal education from Oxford, Preveen also has a tragic personal history that makes women's legal rights especially important to her. Mistry Law has been appointed to execute the will of Omar Farid, a wealthy Muslim mill owner who has left behind 3 widows. But Preveen notices something suspicious in the paperwork. All 3 of the wives have signed over their full inheritance to a charity. What will they survive on? The widows live in a full purdah, in strict seclusion, never leaving their quarters or speaking to men. Are they being taken advantage of by an unscrupulous guardian? When Preveen investigates, tensions escalate to murder, and she must figure out what really happened on Malabar Hill before its innocent women and children meet further harm. So I got that, and I thought that sounded fantastic when Nikita talked about it on her channel. I had put it on my TBR right away, and then when I saw that the book that Steve had mentioned was actually the latest, I think it's the 5th book in this series, I went ahead and got this one, and I also got the second one, the Satapur Moonstone. Probably not saying that right. So I am very excited to dig into these because I just think that these sound like they're going to be fantastic, and also they have gorgeous covers. And then I also, on the recommendation of Nikita, I got erotic stories for Punjabi widows, which has that Reese's Book Club thing on it. even though I bought this at a Dutch bookstore, not even like Waterstones or American Book Center. I got it at the Dutch, Hiltma, which is the sort of like a Dutch Borders, if you will. Really, really lovely bookstore. And it has a wonderful English fiction section, and then it has English books throughout also in their nonfiction sections, but it has a dedicated English fiction section, which is really, really great. And so I got this from them, and I'm very excited to read this. So this was also Nikita's recommendation. So thank you, Nikita. Very excited about that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, so I bought a bunch of Kindle books too. So I didn't get much reading done, but I got a lot of shopping done. Doesn't really do me much good. I bought The Muralist by B.A. Shapiro, and that I really, really enjoyed his book, The Art Forger. So I'm looking forward to reading The Muralist. I also got In a Summer Season by Elizabeth Taylor. And it's funny because I heard Sonia this morning on her summer update video was talking about reading Elizabeth Taylor. So Sonia, let me know if In a Summer Season is a good one. Or if I should be starting somewhere else, because that's the one I got, because it looked really good and it has a pretty cover, even though it's a Kindle book. And then I got a book called Six Stories, a thriller by Matt Wesolowski. And I think I had heard about this book somewhere else. And of course there it goes. Okay. Sounds very interesting. One body, six stories. Which one is true? And it's sort of supposed to be kind of like a serial thing. It says elusive online journalist Scott King investigates the murder of a teenager at an Outward Bound center in the first episode of the critically acclaimed international best-selling Six Stories series. All right, so I don't know if this is like... Yeah, okay, so it's supposed to be kind of like a serial thing, kind of playing on the whole podcast thing. So I don't know, I thought that sounded pretty good. And then I got The Social Life of Books, Reading Together in the 18th Century Home by Abigail Williams. I thought that sounded really good, and I think I've told you guys I was interested in 18th century literature, and so I thought that would be kind of fun to maybe dip into it sometime. And then just today I bought We the Drowned by Karsten Jensen, because Micah Cummins said it was really good, and it's on Kindle sale this month. It's $2.99, you guys. So if you watched Micah's video and you're interested in it and you like to read on Kindle, then $2.99 on Kindle. All right, okay. What else? I am missing one other thing, and that is, and I'm looking around for it like it's here, and it's not here, but that's Memoirs of Hadrian by Marguerite Yourcenar, which I am also reading, which I started in May. That's the Classics and Company book, and we've got till June 30th to read that. And I have one chapter left. I have one chapter left, so I do need to finish that up, because I would like to reread it or, re-skim it and go back through, kind of some of the notes and things I marked. But I really, really have enjoyed that. So, yeah. Wow, okay, I feel like I ran. And I'm not even going to talk about the books that got sent back, because I'm just too upset. I'm just going to talk about this. Take a sip of cold coffee and... Okay. I'm all right. I'm okay. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I hope that maybe you found some new books. Maybe I'm hurting your TBR. I don't want to be alone and just constantly adding books to my TBR. So, I'm an influencer now. I'm an influencer. 3 months on BookTube. I must be like, I'm huge, baby. I'm huge. So, yeah, so thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let me know what you've got going on in the comments. Let me know if any of these books sound interesting to you. Let me know if you're reading June on the Range. Let me know if you're reading for Pride and what you're reading. Some of you have already told me. If you haven't told me, or if you've added something new, just let me know. And yeah, I guess that's it. And I'll be back on Tuesday, because I gotta do the Rootin' Tootin' June on the Range tag, because Randy tagged me to do that, and I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah, anyway, have a great weekend. Take care of yourself. And thank you again for everything and the 3 months. I really appreciate it. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye.